This is 8-4. We're learning how to use the box method. We use this when we are comparing a quantity and a price. We use this when we're comparing a quantity and a percent. Okay? That's when you know. So in this case, we are, whoops. Okay, in this case, the first thing we do is we list on the left side the two things we're comparing. So in this word problem, what are we comparing? Yuval?
Calculators and notebooks.
Calculators and notebooks. Okay, the first column we use for the amount or the quantity. And I generally make, when I'm doing mine, I make like 3 boxes. Okay, I do 3, I'll bring it down, and I make 3 rows. I don't always use all 3, but it will help us for the future because we're going to use this in more than one way. So the first one we do is for quantity. The second box on top is for either money or the money value or the percent. And we multiply going across, and we call this a product. So whatever I have in the first box, I multiply it by the second box, and I get the third box. Now, going up and down, we add it, and we get a sum. And then I just start filling in the boxes and organizing my information. Joe bought 15 items for $135. If the 15 items consisted of notebooks for $4.50 each and calculators for $12 each, how many of each did he buy? So what information can I start to fill in my boxes? Yuval, what do you think? Give me one box.
The sum of the items, which is 15.
The sum of the items is 15. Okay. What else? Mary.
The sum of the money, which is $135.
It's not the sum of the money.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. The sum of the money, right? Because if I get it, is going to be how much?
$135.
Now look where I put that. All the way over here. Because I'm going to be adding these two, and it will give me this. Yes, Jordan.
450 for the notebook.
Okay, so does that go in the first column, in the second column, or in the third column?
The second one.
Okay, and in the top row, the middle row, or the bottom row?
The top row.
Okay, and that is $4.50. Okay, what else can I fill in? Pasha.
You can fill in the $12 in the second row and the second column.
Okay, now, how many notebooks do we have?
15. X.
X.
Melody?
X.
We don't know, so we're going to call it X. And how many calculators do we have?
Y.
Right. And so now I multiply across. 450 times X is 450X. 12 times Y is 12Y. And here's what we have. 2 equations. This plus this equals this. Let me add it in red. This equals this. So now my 2 equations are these right here. Equation number 1 and equation number 2. And so now we've got, let's see, X plus Y equals 15. 450X plus 12Y equals 135. Let's get rid of our decimal. Let's clear at this point. What do I need to do to clear that 450x? Nirvana?
You need to multiply everything by 10.
By 10, she's right. Because at 450, we don't need to worry about that 0. So then I get 45x plus 120y equals 1350. 1,350. Now, what's the easiest way to finish this off? Let's go, Grace.
You can either solve for y or x.
Okay, so what's that called? The substitution, because it's easy to get a variable alone. So let's go minus x and minus x. And so y equals
Negative x.
15 minus, I'll just go 15 minus x. It looks prettier. 15 minus x. And then, you guys have this all written down?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going over here. I'm going to say y equals 15 minus x. And what was the other one? 45. Okay, so now I can do my substitution. Send it over to the y. And I get 45x plus 120 times 15 minus x equals 1350. Where's the calculator? Okay, also when you're doing your homework, you really need to, at this point, you're working on facilitating the translating into equations. So use a calculator. Don't spend your time freaking out without, working on the math as much as the simple calculations. So I get 45x plus 1,800. Here's the big one. Make sure you distribute. Minus 120x equals 1350. Let's combine our like terms. And I'm going to subtract 1,800. I tend to do this at the same time. Minus 1,800. Why did it do that? Oops. Minus 1,800. And so now I'm left with 1,800 minus what? Negative 450 is equal to, and now I've got to combine these like terms. 120, 75x, and it's negative. That's a good thing because if we end up with a negative in the end, you did something wrong because it's not going to be a negative dollar amount. Okay, dividing both sides by negative 75, and we end up with 6. So, what does that mean, x equals 6? What does that mean, Aiden?
So then you substitute it into y equals.
But what does that mean, x equals 6?
Oh, x is the notebooks.
Okay, so right there, I tend to put it in here, and I put a 6. Okay? And so now what am I doing with that 6?
You can plug it into either equation.
Substitute in.
Okay. Into either equation that I would put into y equals 15 minus x.
Right? And so y equals 15 minus 6. And so y equals what? 9. And so, give me this in a complete sentence. Yes.
How many each? He bought, Joe bought 6 notebooks and 9 calculators.
Joe bought 6 notebooks, 9 calculators. Okay? So that's what we call the box method. It's a little less overwhelming because you just put the pieces and parts that you know. And then when you look at it, as you finish looking at it, then you have yourself 2 equations. Okay? Okay, Myrna raised $24 by selling 40 baked items for the Builders Club. She sold cookies for 50 cents and brownies for 75 cents. How many of each did she sell?
You have to write down.
Whatever you want to do, John Michael. You can remember it for later.
Do evens and odds.
Okay, how am I labeling this? On the top row, Acacia.
It should be, like you want me to put it in.
Actually, first on the left.
Oh, first on the left.
In the back.
So, it'll be, the top row will be representing the cookies.
Uh-huh, and the bottom.
And the bottom will be representing the brownies.
Okay. And the top row. On top, what am I labeling? My columns. I see a hand in the back. Sarah.
Your first column will be the amount.
The amount times
The cost
is equal to the product. And the bottom row, we're going to call it a, whoops. We're going to call it a sum. Okay? That's not what I want to do. Bottom row, we're going to call a sum. We call this the product. This is the sum. Okay, fill in my boxes. Acacia. Oh no, let me go with Grace, or was it Mary that had their hand up? Grace? What can you fill in?
You can fill in the cents. For the cookies, it would be 50 cents.
Okay,
And the brownies would be 75 cents.
okay. Jordan, what else can I fill in?
the sum,
The sum is 40. Okay, what else can I fill in? Yuval?
the total money she raised, which is $24.
Where does that go?
Under the product and sum.
$24. Isaac?
Cookies can be X and the brownies can be Y.
Good. And Ruby Cruz?
The product for cookies could be 50 cents times X.
5/10 X. Okay. And the next one, Dylan?
75 hundredths Y.
Excellent. And my equations, please. Give me one equation. Alex?
X plus Y equals 40.
And the other equation, please, Rebecca?
5 times X plus 75 hundredths Y equals 24.
Okay. I'm going to erase this and then just use my PowerPoint for the rest. We could have done, we could clear the decimals. We could use, I think I would definitely clear that bottom row. What are we going to multiply it by to clear the decimal? 100. That means we have to multiply everything by 100. And so then I get, because the greater of the two is what I go with. So I would multiply that by 100. And that makes it 50x. And this becomes plus 75x, 75y, equals 24, 240, sorry. Okay.
2,400.
2,400, wow, thank you. Okay, because I got to multiply by 100 all 3 times. Now, do you want to try this one through elimination method?
No.
Let's. If you don't want to, let's. That's when we do use it. When it's your least. Okay, let's multiply by 50. Negative 50. So, negative 50, and we get negative 50x minus 50y equals 2,000.
Negative.
Negative 2,000.
It's, wait, where'd you get 50y?
Because I'm multiplying everything by 50.
Oh.
But
Why would you do that for?
because I'm going to use the elimination method. I decided that I wanted to make this right here was the easiest to make the additive inverse as opposed to this. Because multiplying by 75, this right here was easier than this. Because multiplying everything up here by 75, I don't want to multiply 75 by 40. I can't do that in my head, but I can multiply everything by 50. And by multiplying by negative 50, it makes this the additive inverse for this. Does that make sense, Yuval? Why I chose that? And so now we are left with 25y equals 400.
What about all the decimals?
We cleared it by multiplying by 100. We multiplied that, it made it 50x. We multiplied that, it made it 75y. We multiplied by that, it made it 2400. So now I divide both sides by 25, and we're left with y equals 4 times, 16? So if y is 16, now be careful. That's not my x. Make sense of it. Then I just substitute in x plus y equals 16. Equals 40. And my y is 16. Subtract 16.
X equals 24.
X equals 24. Now, I always do this in the end. Can I erase all that? I make sense of it and I say cookies are, brownies are. So you're going to want to use either C or B. But tell me what X and Y are, because I don't know what that is in relation to the story. See how I do that? So that's the box method.